Hi, my name is Bobbye Brooks.
And I'm Tonilee Adamson.
And we want to welcome you to Bobbye and Tonilee Unplugged. If you're brand new to the program, this is our new radio format, formerly known as Daily Disciples Radio. You can always find us at dailydisciples.org. However, because we're doing this, you now get to watch us. And we want you to go definitely to our YouTube channel, which you can find through bobbyeandtonilee.com. Or you can always go to YouTube and just keyword Bobbye and Tonilee channel. But whatever works best, we know it'll take a little while to get things kind of going. So today we want to spend some time talking about our 11th annual event that we have coming up. And it is called The Power of Hope, T.L.
Power of Hope. We've done the Power of Hope before. But I am so excited about this because the Lord does use bookends in your lives. And the Power of Hope, when we did it, in what year was it, Bobbye?
2000, I don't even know,
11?
Maybe, 5 years ago?
Yeah. And now it's how much the Lord has trained me and taught me about hope. What is hope? How do we get hope? What is our hope supposed to be? And how are our prayers supposed to revolve around the hope? And if Jesus Christ is our hope, how is that tangible every day? So the power of hope is very important, and we want to see you there on Saturday, January 30th at Point Loma Nazarene University. It is our 11th annual event, women's event.
And just for watching or listening, because now that we're doing the radio show also online as an internet television program, again, this is Bobbye and Tonilee Unplugged if you're just tuning in. You can always find us at dailydisciples.org, or you can go to bobbyeandtonilee.com. But you'll find the channel on YouTube, so you can always just search. You know, Google still works as a search engine, okay? But if you're listening or watching and you call 800-992-0369, you can get 2 tickets for $30. Regular ticket price is $25.
Right.
So you're really getting $15 tickets. You just have to buy 2 of them. So you buy 2 for $30 or 4 for $60, or you kind of do the math, but 2 at a time for $30 by calling 800-992-0369, and that includes lunch and parking. And we thought we would take a few minutes today and talk about what is involved at this event and kind of how it works. Doors open at, well, first of all, let's tell everybody where it is.
Well, I said Point Loma Nazarene University, which is right there at the Point in San Diego. So if you're watching from somewhere else, we'd love to have you come out. We do get a discounted rate at a hotel nearby. So it's at Point Loma Nazarene University. The campus is absolutely beautiful. When I say it's on the Point, I mean surfers love the school. I went to this school for undergrad to become a nurse. And freshman year, I think freshman year had like 1,000 kids, and then by sophomore year, when everyone dropped out because they couldn't really study, being on the cliffs like that, we had half the number. So we would love to see you there. It really is like a day away. It's a retreat feeling. It is such a break.
It's
and
beautiful.
People even say this is just such a great place to have an event.
It's Point Loma Nazarene University. It's a 3600 Loma Land Drive, and we're going to be in Brown Chapel, which is the very large auditorium right there. When you drive into the campus, it's on the left. You cannot miss it. Big, huge dome. And
Brown Chapel. And
Brown
I think
Chapel.
It's 3900 Loma Land Drive.
3900 Loma Land Drive. So you can get all of that information at all of our websites, dailydisciples.org and bobbyeandtonilee.com. But the main thing is that we know that today, and I know you know this as well, if there's one thing that a lot of people are missing or losing or maybe seeing fade away in their life is hope. And I don't even know how to define hope. It's throughout the Bible. Jesus talks about hope, but he also talks about joy and peace and love. And when you really look at what Jesus says, he uses those 3 words more than he does hope.
You know what I think is interesting, though, as you're going down that path? Hope is not a fruit of the Spirit.
Right.
Love, joy, peace, patience, kindness, goodness,
Right.
gentleness, faithfulness, and self-control. No hope. And yet hope is discussed in the Word of God. There's chapters on hope. There's also chapters on wisdom, and wisdom is not a fruit of the Spirit. So isn't that interesting? Because the fruits of the Spirit, it's God's work in us through patience, through perseverance, that we develop fruits in our lives, which bring the love, the joy, the peace. But wisdom and hope are separate.
Right. Hope is not even a gift of the Spirit. So it's not even a gift that you get. So
right. Like wisdom is a gift.
Right. Wisdom is a gift. We pray for wisdom, discernment, and knowledge. So how in the world do we really define hope? And how do we get our hope back if we find ourselves hopeless? Suicide rates are increasing in our country. And the statistics show that in even the youngest of our generation, in our population, teenagers, teenage suicides, it's because they don't see hope for a future.
Or the pressure is so great that they're in depression. Matter of fact, I want to talk about this a second. Do we have to take a commercial break yet?
Well, yeah, let's do this and then we'll take a break. So before we take our break, here's the deal. You're listening to Bobbye and Tonilee Unplugged. This is our brand new radio/TV program. You can listen at the same station you've always listened to. You can also go now to YouTube, our YouTube channel, Bobbye and Tonilee's channel. You can get there through dailydisciples.org, as you know very well if you've been listening to the show. You can also get there through bobbyeandtonilee.com. And the old-fashioned way of Google still works, just putting in the name. And right now, as we're talking about the Power of Hope, our 11th Annual Women's Conference, Saturday, January 30th, tickets are on sale right now, and we are selling like crazy. This is the first year we might actually sell out Brown Chapel. But you can get 2 tickets for $30. That's $15 each, off $10 off the $25 price. But you have to buy 2 for $30, and the only way you can get this is by calling.
800-992-0369.
800-992-0369. So we got to step away, take a quick break, but we will be right back. Hi, my name is Bobbye Brooks.
And I'm Tonilee Adamson.
We're the co-founders of Daily Disciples Ministries, and we are hosting our 11th Annual Women's Conference on
Saturday, January 30th, and it is the Power of Hope. And it's going to be held again at Point Loma Nazarene University, and we want to see you ladies there.
That's right. Tickets right now, they're on sale, and they are going fast. They're only $25, and that includes lunch and parking. You can get them at dailydisciples.org, or you can call
800-992-0369.
Ladies, listen, we know that 2016 is going to be a very significant year. We need hope that only comes from the Lord. So get your tickets today. Call 800-992-0369 or go to
dailydisciples.org.
And we will see you there. Welcome back to Bobbye and Tonilee Unplugged. If you're brand new to the show, you can check us out at bobbyeandtonilee.com. Or, as always, dailydisciples.org, the ministry of Daily Disciples, still very much hosting this program and a sponsor of this show. Also, if you have not heard of Media for Women, that's our other business where we are able to help you in many ways, whether it's starting a business, growing your business, and that this is something God has really gifted us with, to help people do things that they otherwise would not be able to do.
I always say that Daily Disciples is the message of encouragement, of hope, hope, of motivation to keep going. But Media for Women is the means of how to do that, because God has given each of us gifts and calling. And so how do we go forward with those gifts? And it doesn't matter if the gift isn't ministry. I mean, it can be in business, it can be in any realm, but God has called you to do something on this earth. So Media for Women helps you get there.
Right.
And we do that through websites, book publishing, marketing online.
And on Bobbye and Tonilee Unplugged, which we'll talk a little bit more about later, last week you probably heard a couple times the show discussing the new format. But we will take time on this program and actually discuss topics that are technology, internet, web-related topics. I mean, they're everywhere. We're not going to get away from them.
Technology tips.
It's exactly right. But today we're talking about the power of hope. And you wanted to tell a story.
I
before the
did,
break.
yes. Okay. So I was talking to a friend who said to me, well, I'm not depressed. I'm just grieving. Because I kept saying to her,
yeah, right.
you are depressed and you have been depressed. And I do think that this is a depression you've been born with. This isn't like a circumstantial depression. This is literally a depression that you probably need to be on medication to help. And she, no, I'm just grieving. I hate that word depression. I'm not depressed. And yet she's telling me she's hopeless. She has nothing in her life. And she's going on and on listing the complaints of being so alone and literally depressed. And there's a verse in Proverbs 13:12 that I've meditated on a lot, like over the years. It says, hope deferred makes the heart sick, but a longing fulfilled is a tree of life. And so hope deferred makes the heart sick. What does that mean? When you don't have hope, when you are hopeless,
you're sick.
You do spiral down into a place of depression. And yes, your heart is sick because it has this longing that's not fulfilled. If it's marriage, or if it's wanting children, or if it's needing a job or getting out of financial crisis, yes, your heart is sick, but your mind gets depressed. I mean, you get depressed.
Absolutely.
And she just did not want to admit that it was depression. And the sad thing about that, and for those of you who listen regularly, you know that I come from a nursing background. I started working in hospitals literally at 14 years old. So I do believe in medication. And it's so sad for me that literally many of us who are depressed, you might not need to be on medication the rest of your life. But if you're in that place, wouldn't it be great to take something to get out of that place? I mean, think about this.
Well, there's going to be a controversy with this. When we're talking about the power of hope, a lot of people are going to say, yeah, but if you just have Jesus, then you have hope. If you can dig into the Word more, if you can pray more, if you can really spend time with the Lord, that's going to restore your hope. And I agree with that.
But when you're that depressed, you can't.
You can't hear from the Lord.
You can't.
That's the thing about it.
Your mind consumes you.
Whenever you sink into a place, I'll give you another illustration. Last year, I ended up in the emergency room with the worst headache I have ever had in my life. They finally determined that they thought it was some type of occipital. I don't know if I'm saying it. Occipital, which means it comes from the back, base of the neck.
Right here. Yeah.
And it's on both sides, the base of the neck on both sides, and it goes up the back of the head, and it hits
spinal column
all the way into both temples and across the front of your frontal lobe. And this headache was something I'd never experienced before. And it ended up being so bad that, the extreme IV of morphine and painkillers wasn't even touching it.
And didn't they give you like 3 liters of fluid too?
Yeah,
just
I
to
was
flush
on all
this
of
in
it.
your brain,
Yeah,
because your brain is like encapsulated, so you need a lot of fluid to get that medication up there.
So, but what stuck with me was the ER doctor when he said to me, once the pain, so what they do is they ask you, on a scale of 1 to 10, tell me your pain. I could barely speak. That's how much pain I was in. All I could say was 10 plus. I don't even know what pain level I was on, because I've never had, a 10 to me would have been, it would have been 10 times 10. That's how I felt. And he said to me, once you are past an 8, once you get to an 8 or 9 in pain, anywhere in the body, you have no choice but to get to the emergency room. The reason being, you will have to be treated because you cannot come back down from that pain level on your own.
Or with any over-the-counter medication.
In other words, I can't open the Bible at that place. I can't even see. I can't even move. I feel like I'm going to vomit just raising my head up or pass out. So yes, we know Jesus is the hope. But what Tonilee is saying is that when you sink into the depths of a depression, of suicidal thoughts.
Well, she's not even suicidal. She's just living every day with not wanting to get out of bed and having no reason to live.
Well, it's a very hopeless, helpless place. And so
And she knows the Lord.
And what we want to talk about at the Power of Hope Conference, and if you're just tuning in, you're listening to Bobbye Tonilee Unplugged, our brand new radio program, formerly known as Daily Disciples Radio. You can find us still at dailydisciples.org, still the ministry, and as well at bobbyeandtonilee.com. The reason we're calling it Unplugged is because we are going to kind of unplug some of the righteous answers to everything and talk about real life topics. And the Power of Hope has a little bit of that in it, in the sense that just what we're saying, whenever you hit the depths of depression, what do you do? Is spouting a verse just enough? Well, if you just prayed more and you had more faith, you wouldn't be in this place. Well, that's not true. Because there are times we find ourselves sinking, and we don't even know why. We can't figure out how we got there, and we sure don't know how to get out of it. And that's when we need to seek out. Wait a minute, before you jump in there, I want to give the information about the Power of Hope Conference, okay? And then TL can talk. All right, the Power of Hope is on Saturday, January 30th, and it begins at 9 a.m., and we're going to go to 3:30. Tickets are on sale right now for $25, but we're doing this show as a special offer for our listeners that if you buy two, you get them for $30. That's $15 each. You cannot get this special on the websites. It will not be sent out through email. You can only get it by calling 800-992-0369. That's 800-992-0369. Many of you in San Diego have been to our events in the past. This is going to be based in San Diego at Point Loma Nazarene University. Women from all over the country, we want to invite you in to come join us. We are selling tickets like crazy, and this is very early to be selling as many tickets as we are. So we encourage you, get your church group, get your small group, get your group of friends together. Take advantage of this amazing price reduction because lunch is included. We've got a lineup of amazing speakers, a panel, women who are going to share with you how they have found hope in situations that you are in today.
Because and how they kept moving forward.
That's right.
Without quitting.
We all have experienced this. We've got to take our final break here on Bobbye Tonilee Unplugged.
So I have to wait more?
So we're going to let Tonilee talk when we come back. All
Thank
right?
you.
Yeah, once again. So we're going to take our final break here on Bobbye Tonilee Unplugged, but don't go away. Don't forget, call 800-992-0369.
You got everything
and
out
get
there, Bobbye?
your ticket.
You said it all.
I've said it all. Get your tickets,
My
two
turn.
for $30 by calling 800-992-0369. Don't go away. We'll be right back.
Hi, my name is Emily Adamson of Media for Women Enterprises. Media for Women is a full-service media marketing agency. We do everything from web design, videography, social media, and more. The technology we have today is not going away, and you need to get your business online. Set up your free consultation today at mediaforwomen.com or call the number on your screen, 1-800-992-0369.
Welcome back to Bobbye Tonilee Unplugged. Glad you could join us here on our new radio program, formerly known as Daily Disciples Radio. If you've been listening to the show over the past week, we've been talking about the change in the format, although it's still Bobbye Tonilee. We're just, if you can imagine, unplugging the amp, so to speak, talking about real life issues that are obviously Christian, with a Christian foundation. But some of the topics need to be discussed that may not be being discussed in our church groups and even in our churches. So we're going to be tackling things that we believe affect your life. And as we're doing the show today, we're offering a special offer for our 11th annual Women's Conference in San Diego, The Power of Hope, Saturday, January 30th. And I'll just throw this out there before Tonilee jumps in. She's got something to say. And,
I think I forgot after the last break.
She may have forgot, but you can get two tickets for only $30. Two tickets for only $30 by calling 800-992-0369. And you can always join us online at dailydisciples.org or BobbyeandTonilee.com, and you can Google our names. Google still works, okay? And YouTube, by the way, this is not just listening to the program, you get to watch this TV show at our YouTube channel. So you need to go to BobbyeandTonilee.com, and on the flash, you click Bobbye and Tonilee Unplugged. So everywhere you see Bobbye and Tonilee Unplugged, even at dailydisciples.org, click through to our YouTube channel and subscribe, okay? So when you subscribe, you get the copy, the next show, every time it comes out, and it is a daily TV internet show, okay? So,
Got it.
all that being said, TL.
All right, so we have been discussing hope and the definition of hope, and even how when we are hopeless, it could end up in a place of depression. And at the Spiritual Warfare Bible study that I've been teaching, I was talking about how do we know the difference between this is warfare. So in other words, this hopelessness is because God wants us to push through to get to the other side, like so that we do have hope, like to not look at this as hopeless. We're not going to let the enemy in. We're going to, versus God trying to get our attention to say, you need to go a different direction. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? Because we can blame a lot of we're just hopeless because God's not answering our prayers. But the issue might be because we're not praying about the things the Lord has us to be praying about.
Or we're not obeying the things He's telling us to do.
Because we're convinced it should be a different way.
Right.
And what happens is we take those verses, and we've talked about this a lot. We take verses like ask and you'll receive. Instead of taking verses like seek and you will find. Seek what God's will is for your life and you will find it. Whenever we talk about Jesus saying, not my will, but your will be done, that wasn't a flippant type of prayer like, I don't know what to pray, so I'm just going to pray this. He knew what God's will was. He didn't want that to be the ultimate will, so he was asking for the strength for him to believe that that was God's will. Okay, for him to endure the cross, for him to go through that path. Well, that is the issue today too. Because when you look at verses like Psalm 37:4, delight yourself in the Lord and he will give you the desires of your heart. Well, have we really sought the Lord to find out what those desires are? That's the point. It's not, I dream a genie, rub the little lamp, and get what you want. And many of us today, I believe, do not have hope because we do not want to really embrace that where you are presently just might be God's will for you. Maybe not forever, but for right now.
Maybe there's
so that
change.
It changes you. No,
Yeah.
it has to change us first.
That's true. And the verse that we are using for the Power of Hope Conference is Jeremiah 29:11. And we know that verse is taken out of context and used as this verse that God has promised us a future and a hope. Okay?
In our definition,
and
not
that's
his.
right. And God, if you read Jeremiah 29 and the entire chapter and the entire book of Jeremiah, this is not a verse that is this wonderful, fluffy little thing going on.
I just quote this verse, everything will be better.
But God
Things
has
were
promised.
not good in Jeremiah 29:11. They were in a land of captivity. God was saying, no, this is my will, that you are in captivity because of your disobedience.
I think
but
this
I still
is
have
before
positive things. No.
They got into captivity.
Well, already 2 groups were over.
Yeah.
So Daniel went over first, Ezekiel went over second. Now this was going to be the third group.
That's right.
So Jeremiah was preaching from Israel to those who were already in the land of Babylon, saying, pray for the prosperity of Babylon because there you will be prosperous. There, if they're blessed, you will be blessed. And these people living with Jeremiah, who did not want to believe they were going to be taken as the third group deported into Babylon, they were saying, that can't be God's will. God gave us this land. We are standing on these promises. And God was saying, you are prophesying things that have nothing to do with me.
Right.
And I see that today. I've seen that in my own life.
That's right. Okay, well, there's a lot we can say about hope. And I just want to wrap it up.
We'll say more.
We're going to wrap it up with this. If you are struggling with hopelessness, helplessness, feelings of, I don't know where my life is going. I love the Lord. I do seek the Lord. I'm in all these places, but I don't have hope. Maybe you're depressed. Maybe you're discouraged.
Maybe you know someone who's depressed.
That's
or
right.
discouraged.
This event on Saturday, January 30th, you are invited to come, and mostly invited to also bring someone who needs to be here. We're going to make it easy for you, okay? 2 tickets for only $30. Regular ticket price is $25. You can get 2 tickets for $30 by calling.
That includes lunch.
And that's right, it includes lunch. Now, as you hear the commercial playing throughout the programs, that's the $25 ticket. So if you call and you're listening to the show and we say 2 for $30, you better call 800-992-0369, because that's where you get the special deal. You cannot get it online. So we do want you to visit us online at dailydisciples.org and bobbyeandtonilee.com, because you're not just getting to listen to this program, you get to watch this program. So we want you to click through and go to the YouTube channel and subscribe and watch the radio program every single day. So with that, we're going to sign off. And as always, we bless you, and we hope to see you soon.